Yeah. Come on down the slide, baby. Oh, look at that baby down the slide. That's my baby. He all right. He's strong. Y'all come look at him playing.
Talk about my baby. He is okay. Ain't nothing wrong with him. Ain't nothing wrong with him. He is just fine, okay? Let me get your diaper, baby. Oh, shit, baby. He is okay. He is okay. Okay? Y'all keep talking about my baby. My baby is just fine. My baby is okay. Okay? He is just fine. Ain't nothing wrong with my baby. He is baby, right here, baby. Fix your face. Fix your face. There you go. There you go. All right, my baby is just fine. See, he's just fine. He's strong. My baby can walk and everything. Here, get up. He's fine. See, I told y'all he okay. I told y'all he okay. He's all right. He's okay. Just playing. Y'all just be tripping. My baby is just fine. He is strong, okay? Where's his milk? Somebody.
It started with whispers, then side eyes, then rumors so loud they practically screamed through the timeline. And right in the middle of it all, Chrisean rock. Silence for once. While her son became the target of cruelty, the internet pretends it doesn't enjoy because somehow rumors about Nikki baby spiraled at the exact same time her child was catching heat. And suddenly, this wasn't just messy, it was ugly. For days, people talked around Chrisean instead of to her, speculating, accusing, dragging narratives like they were facts. And the silence. Oh, the silence was deafening. Because when Chrisean goes quiet, it's never because she has nothing to say. It's because something is boiling. And when she finally broke that silence, it wasn't just a response. It was a line drawn in the sand. This wasn't about clout. This wasn't about internet beef. This was about a mother watching rumors snowball while her child took hits he never signed up for. And trust me, this makes the Kardashians arguing over baby names look like playground nonsense. Because once kids get pulled into adult drama, the rules change, the jokes stop landing, the memes stop being funny, and the audience is forced to confront a question they hate answering. How far is too far? And what really happened behind the scenes before Chrisean finally said enough? Silence has always been Chrissy Rock's loudest weapon. When she's talking, people argue. When she's quiet, people panic. And this time, the quiet hit different. Because while rumors involving Nikki baby were bouncing around the internet like pinballs with no flippers, Chrissy didn't immediately react. No live rant, no impulsive post, no chaotic clapback, just absence. And that absence created space for the internet to do what it does best. Invent conclusions and run with them at full speed. The rumors didn't start clean. They never do. They started sideways. A comment here, a screenshot there, a vague reference that people stretched into a full narrative without checking if it even fit. Nikki baby's name got pulled into conversations it didn't ask to be a part of. And suddenly Chrisean was trending again. Not for something she said or did, but for something people assumed she would say or... And then came the ugliest turn. While adults were busy dragging each other through speculation and recycled beef, Chrisean's son became collateral damage. Comments crossed lines that should have never been approached, let alone cross jokes that weren't jokes. Memes that weren't funny, the kind of online behavior people excuse as just the internet until it's a child's face attached to the punchline. That's when the energy shifted, because this wasn't just another rumor cycle anymore. This was a situation where silence stopped looking strategic and started looking dangerous. Not for Chrisean's image, but for her peace. And if there's one thing Chrisean has proven over and over, it's that she'll tolerate a lot of disrespect or act it at herself. But she draws a hard line when it comes to her child. What made this moment explode wasn't just the bullying, it was the timing. The Nikki baby rumors and attacks on her son overlapped so closely that people began connecting dots whether they belong together or not. And once the internet thinks it sees a pattern, facts become optional. For days, people spoke for Chrisean. Some defended her aggressively, others criticized her parenting without knowing a single private detail. Everyone had an opinion, and none of them required confirmation. That's the danger of celebrity silence. Yet invites projection. People don't wait for the truth. They fill the void with whatever fits their bias. And Chrissy let it breathe. That's the part that confused people, because if there's one thing the internet expects from her, it's immediate reaction. Chaos UNC. But this time she didn't perform. She observed. And observation is usually the step right before detonation, that behind the scenes. The pressure was building. You could feel it in the way commentary videos started hedging their words, in the way people stopped joking and started justifying. That's always a sign the situation crossed from entertainment into something uncomfortable. When creators begin explaining why something is not that deep, it's usually because it is. The Nikki baby angle made everything more volatile. Because Nikki isn't a random name, she's tied to history, proximity, and unresolved narratives that never fully close her involvement, whether real, exaggerated, or completely misrepresented, added gasoline to a fire that didn't need help spreading. And instead of clarifying, the internet did what it always does without instructions. Chrissy's silence during this period wasn't empty. It was loaded. Every hour without a response raised the stakes. People began interpreting her quiet as guilt, restraint, exhaustion, or planning, depending on what version of her they already believed in. And that's when silence becomes dangerous. When it starts being translated instead of respected, the bullying directed at her son was the breaking point. Because unlike adult drama that has consequences that linger far beyond trending cycles, the internet doesn't forget what it says to kids, even when it pretends it does. And Chrisean knows that better than most. She grew up under scrutiny. She understands what it feels like to be talked about instead of listened to. That context matters because when she finally broke her silence, it wasn't with chaos. It was with clarity. But before that moment, the buildup told its own story. A story of someone watching narratives form about her life, while protecting her energy until the moment she decided to speak. And that moment didn't come because the rumors annoyed her. It came because the line between speculation and harm had been crossed. The first reactions to her silence were split. Some people praised her for not engaging. Others accused her of allowing the situation to spiral. Both sides missed the point because this wasn't about strategy. This was about control, about deciding when she would define the narrative instead of reacting to one build without her consent. The internet hates that kind of control. It thrives on reaction. It feeds on immediacy. When someone refuses to deliver that, the audience gets restless. And restlessness often turns cruel. As the bullying intensified, so did the discomfort. People started calling it out. Not everyone, but enough to shift the tone. You could feel the laughter thinning out. You could sense the hesitation creeping in because once kids get involved, the spectacle stops being funny. And the audience is forced to see itself reflected in the mess. That's when Chrissy's silence started to look less like avoidance and more like restraint, like someone holding back, because they know once they speak there's no taking it back. And when she finally did break that silence, it wasn't impulsive. It was deliberate. But before that moment landed, the groundwork had already been laid. The rumors had spread. The damage had begun. And the audience had already revealed something uncomfortable about itself. How quickly it will prioritize drama over decency when given the chance. This part of the story matters because it refrains everything that follows. Chrisean didn't speak up to clear her name alone. She spoke because the conversation had shifted from adult gossip to something far darker, and that shift changes the rules completely. What started as whispers about Nikki baby turned into a mirror reflecting how far internet culture is willing to go for engagement. How quickly empathy disappears when a headline promises clicks, and how silence, when misinterpreted, can become the loudest accusation of all. By the time Chrisean broke her silence, the damage was already visible, not in headlines, but in behavior. In the way people felt entitled to speak on a child's life, in the way rumors hardened into assumptions without evidence, and in the way the audience justified it all as just commentary. But commentary stops being harmless when it targets someone who didn't sign up for the spotlight. And that's why this moment didn't feel like another scandal. It felt like a turning point because once a parent steps into the conversation to protect their child, the drama stops being entertainment. It becomes a line in the sand. And once that line is drawn, everything on the other side of it gets exposed. Once Chrisean broke her silence, the internet didn't calm down. It malfunctioned. The moment her words hit timelines, everything accelerated like someone had fast-forwarded on a scandal that was already unstable. What had been rumors instantly turned into think pieces. What had been bullying suddenly got rebranded as concern. And what had been reckless speculation magically became accountability, which is the internet's favorite disguise when it doesn't want to apologize. But her response didn't scream. It didn't rant. It didn't spiral the way people expected. And that alone confused the audience because the internet had already written the script. They wanted tears or chaos. They wanted mess. Instead, they got composure mixed with warning. And nothing rattles a messy audience more than a calm person who's clearly done playing along. The Nikki baby rumors didn't disappear after Chrisean spoke. They mutated. Some people claimed she confirmed things she never actually said. Others accused her of dodging questions that were never directly asked. Clips were taken out of context so aggressively, they might as well have been rewritten. Fan fiction. The truth didn't matter anymore. Interpretation did. And interpretation is where outrage thrives. What really set things off was how quickly public sympathy split down the middle. One side rallied around Chrisean like a shield, calling out how disgusting it was that a child had become a target. The other side doubled down, insisting that public figures should expect scrutiny, as if children come with press badges at birth. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. Memes flooded the feed almost instantly. Some tried to play moral high ground. Others went full savage. Reaction videos popped up with exaggerated gasps, dramatic pauses, and thumbnails screaming. This changes everything like the apocalypse had been scheduled. And the wild part, half of those reactions weren't even responding to what Chrisean actually said. They were responding to what people felt she meant. Celebrity-adjacent figures chimed in, but never directly. Vague posts about protecting kids. Quotes about boundaries. Subtle reminders that some things shouldn't be content. Funny how those posts always show up right when the internet starts realizing it went too far. Nobody tagged anyone. Nobody named names, but everyone understood the subtext dud. And then came the outrage economy. Suddenly, everyone wanted to be on the right side of the conversation. Influencers who had left earlier now condemned the bullying. Creators who used the situation for clicks pivoted to lectures about empathy. It was the digital equivalent of people deleting tweets and pretending they never existed. Accountability, but make it selective. The Nikki baby angle continued to loom over everything like a shadow. Nobody could fully define. Some insisted the rumors were baseless. Others claimed there was more coming. And that's where things got dangerous. Because when people start teasing information involving kids and family, the line between commentary and exploitation gets real thin. Chrisean's stance didn't change. And that consistency mattered. She didn't backtrack. She didn't escalate. She stayed firm, especially about one thing: her child was off limits. That line was repeated, emphasized, and made impossible to misinterpret. And still, some people pretended not to hear it. Public outrage peaked when users began calling out the hypocrisy. The same internet that claims to hate bullying had no problem dogpiling a child under the excuse of discussing the situation. The same people who scream about mental health casually tossed around jokes with permanent digital footprints. And once that contradiction became obvious, the conversation got uncomfortable. Pop culture comparisons went wild. People said this made reality TV look like daycare. That it made celebrity feuds without kids involved seem quaint. Someone joked that the internet needs a babysitter because it clearly can't be trusted. Unsupervised. It was funny until it wasn't. The tone of the discourse shifted from messy entertainment to collective guilt. And collective guilt makes people defensive. That's when you start seeing think pieces about where do we draw the line, and is the audience complicit? Those questions don't trend unless something went very wrong. Chrisean didn't capitalize on the moment. She didn't drag Nikki baby further. She didn't expose anything new. She let the chaos speak for itself. And ironically, that restraint made the chaos louder. Because when one person refuses to escalate, everyone else ends up looking unhinged. The backlash against the bullying grew louder than the original rumors. Platforms were flooded with calls to leave the kids out of it. Comment sections started policing themselves, not perfectly, but noticeably. The audience began correcting each other, which is rare. That's usually a sign the moral line was crossed. But even with that shift, the damage couldn't be undone. Screenshots live forever. Comments don't evaporate just because people regret them. And the internet hates admitting that it crossed a boundary. It prefers pretending the boundary was unclear. The Nikki baby rumors by this point were almost secondary. The real story had become how fast the internet turns cruelty into content and then panics when confronted with the consequences. Chrisean's silence before speaking and her firmness after exposed that cycle in real time. This part of the saga didn't resolve anything. It intensified everything. Relationships were strained. Narratives hardened. People picked sides they'd be stuck defending later. And once public opinion locks in, it rarely unlocks cleanly. What made this phase especially volatile was the absence of a clear villain. There was no single post to blame. No one screenshot that could absorb all the anger. The responsibility was spread across thousands of comments, reactions, and shares. And when blame is distributed, accountability gets slippery. Still, one thing became undeniable. The conversation had crossed from gossip into reckoning. Not just for the people involved, but for the audience consuming it. And when an audience realizes it might be part of the problem, things get tense. By the end of this escalation, the tone had completely changed. What began as rumors and bullying turned into a debate about ethics, boundaries, and exploitation. And those debates don't fade quickly. They linger. They resurface. They haunt future scandals. And looming over all of it was the realization that this wasn't finished. Not because more rumors were coming, but because consequences don't arrive instantly. They arrive later quietly, when people start moving differently. The escalation didn't destroy the story. It sharpened it, and it set the stage for something far heavier than internet outrage. Because once kids get dragged into adult drama, the fallout never stays online. It follows people offline too. After the noise peaked, something uncomfortable happened. The internet got quiet. Not peaceful quiet. The kind of quiet that shows up when people realize they might have gone too far, but don't quite know how to walk it back. That's when the real consequences begin. Not with trending hashtags, but with subtle shifts, with changed tones, with distance. And this is where the story surrounding Chrisean Rock stopped being about rumors and started being about residue, because rumors fade. Residue lingers. The Nikki baby speculation never got the explosive confirmation some people were begging for, and that alone rewired the narrative. Without fresh fuel, the gossip lost momentum. But the bullying directed at Chrisean's son didn't disappear as easily. Screenshots remained, comments lived on, and those receipts quietly reshaped how the entire situation was remembered. What people initially framed as messy drama was now archived as something darker. Chrisean's response. And just as importantly, what she didn't do afterward played a major role in how the aftermath settled. She didn't keep explaining. She didn't keep defending. She didn't try to reclaim control through volume. She stepped back. And that step back forced the audience to sit with its own behavior. That's when the tone toward her shifted. Not dramatically. Gradually, commentators stopped treating her like a spectacle and started treating her like a boundary. Less what will she do next? And more maybe we pushed this too far. That's a subtle but powerful transformation because once someone becomes associated with limits instead of chaos, the entire lens changes. Public perception didn't suddenly turn sympathetic across the board. This isn't a fairy tale, but it became more complicated. The easy jokes dried up. The lazy takes got challenged. Even critics started adding disclaimers. I don't agree with her, but his internet language for this isn't as simple as I wanted it to be. And complexity is dangerous for outrage cycles. Outrage needs villains. It needs clean lines. It needs someone to point at without hesitation. This situation stopped offering that. There was no big reveal, no gotcha moment, just a mother saying enough. And an audience realizing it didn't have a satisfying rebuttal. The Nikki baby rumors ended up feeling like a footnote instead of the headline people expected. Not because they were irrelevant, but because the focus had shifted. The real impact wasn't about who said what behind the scenes. It was about what happens when adult Drama drags a child into the spotlight without consent. That realization stuck. It affected how people talked about future situations. You could see it in comment sections. Weeks later, someone would start crossing a line and others would step in quicker. Not always successfully, but noticeably. Leave the kids out of it stopped being a suggestion and started being a standard. That doesn't erase what happened, but it shows the ripple effect for Chrisean. The aftermath was less about redemption and more about repositioning. She wasn't suddenly embraced as a hero, but she wasn't treated as an open target either. Her presence carried weight. Now, a sense that pushing too far would come with backlash, and in internet culture, deterrence matters relationships around her adjusted quietly. Some people stayed vocal, somewhat silent. Some repositioned themselves as neutral observers. Those shifts didn't need announcements. They were felt in public spaces. Silence often communicates more than statements. And in this case, silence read as recalibration. The situation also forced creators and commentators to confront their own incentives. Many had benefited from the chaos early on. Views spiked. Engagement soared. But once the moral line became obvious, that same content became uncomfortable to stand by. You could see the pivot happen in real time. Titles softened. Thumbnails changed. Language got careful. That's not growth. That's damage control. Still, damage control doesn't undo impact, and the memory of this moment will linger in how Chrisean is discussed going forward. Not as someone who thrives on chaos, but as someone who drew a line when chaos reached her child. That distinction matters. It reframes past behavior and future interpretation. What's especially telling is how the audience remembers the silence now. The silence now. At first, it was framed as avoidance. Later, it was reframed as restraint. That shift alone shows how narratives aren't fixed. They evolve based on outcome. And the outcome here wasn't explosive. It was sobering. This didn't end with fireworks. It ended with reflection. And reflection is uncomfortable because it doesn't offer dopamine. It offers accountability. Not the performative kind. The quiet kind that sits with you after the feeder refreshes. The long-term consequence is this. The internet now associates this chapter with a boundary violation that went too far. And once a situation gets remembered that way, it becomes a reference point. The next time someone tries to drag a child into adult mess, this moment will resurface. Maybe not explicitly, but implicitly as a warning. For Chrisean, that's a strange kind of power. Not influence through noise, but influence through consequence. She didn't dominate the cycle. She survived it, and survival doesn't trend, but it lasts. The audience, too, came out changed, not unified, not enlightened, but slightly more aware, and awareness, even when incomplete, alters behavior. The jokes aren't as fast now. The pylons hesitate. Not always, but enough to matter. This wasn't a scandal that wrapped up neatly. It didn't deliver a villain to exile or a hero to crown. It delivered discomfort. And discomfort is the one thing the internet hates sitting with. Which is why this won't be the last time this moment is referenced. Not because more rumors are coming, but because lines were crossed and remembered. And once the internet remembers crossing a line involving a child, it doesn't forget easily. So while the headlines moved on and the timelines refreshed, something underneath stayed changed. The rules adjusted, the tone shifted, and Chrisean Rock emerged from this chapter, not louder, not quieter, but firmer. And in a culture addicted to reaction, firmness is disruptive because the next time someone tries to turn silence into guilt or rumors into truth or a child into content, this moment will echo quietly in the background. Not as drama, as a reminder. Now listen, if you're still here, that means this story hit different because this wasn't just another messy headline or a recycled rumor. This was one of those moments where the internet had to look in the mirror and didn't like what it saw. Rumors are one thing, adult drama is another, but once a child gets dragged into it, the rules change. Period. So, go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you child support because stories like this deserve to be seen, not buried. Drop a comment right now and tell me, did Chrissy handle this the right way, or did the internet expose itself before she ever had to say a word? No sugarcoating, no fence-sitting. This comment section is the real after show. And if you're not subscribed yet, don't play yourself. This channel doesn't just repeat what's trending. We break down why it trends, who benefits, and who pays the price when the cameras move on. While other pages chase chaos, we expose the patterns behind it. Hit that subscribe button like you're protecting your peace from people who thrive on drama. Turn on notifications because, trust me, scandals don't take breaks and neither do the rumors. When the next headline drops, you want context, not confusion. This is where internet mess meets real consequences. Where silence gets decoded. Where rumors don't just spread, they get examined. So stay locked in, stay sharp, and stay just skeptical enough to see through the noise. Because here at Vibe Crave, we don't just crave the drama, we crave the truth behind.